Okay, so here we have the Mafex Hush Batman figure. I am so happy to be reviewing this guy. A huge thank you and shout out to the Gray Ghosts Collection on Instagram. Yes, I just looked that name up to make sure I was saying it right and I wasn't going to go say something like the Gray Ghost Collection. The Gray Ghost Collection. I will drop his username down below. Make sure you go check him out. He posted this on his Instagram with a link to his eBay, and I picked this up for a pretty cheap price, like $100. And it came pretty quick. He shipped it right away, and man, it is beautiful. It's such a great figure. It came in great condition, and I'm so happy to have it. So let's talk about his packaging for a few seconds, and then I will show you his massive amount of accessories. So we basically just have this simple Mafex packaging. You can see in the background there's some beautiful Jim Lee artwork from Hush, with Batman shooting his grappling hook. Nice image of Batman. Batman Hush right there, pretty cool. Mafex stuff, Batman Hush action figure, DC Comics. Another nice image of him, and on the back we got some really cool images of him as well. If you want the barcode, there it is. Have fun with that. Then a Hush, another picture of Batman. But this imaging looks really cool. However, there's some big differences between this figure and the images we see here, and we'll talk about those. They're not huge differences, but they're significant in some way. So let's talk about his accessories. And here is a stand on the Mafex Batman that works very beautifully. There's 3 different ports on the bottom of it to plug that stand into. The one on the back works the best. You can see this thing wraps around his whole waist, and you can get him into some pretty cool poses. However, it doesn't have a tendency to stay up too high, but you can tweak it and make it work. You know, you just got to balance it out well. But for the most part, it stays pretty good, and he can stay off of it. So, cool stand. So first off, we have the initial head sculpt he comes out of the box with. You can see it's really nice. My only complaint is the skin tone of it, honestly. But aside from that, it has really nice sculpt work, a nice dark hue to it, and very nice blue hues in it as well. Very short ears, very Jim Lee-esque type of head sculpt, as it should be, considering Hush was drawn by Jim Lee. The only complaint, though, like I said, the flesh tone and the black lips. The black is a bit excessive, but it's nice that it accents lips, I guess. However, it's just a too excessive. However, aside from that, there's really no paint smudge. We get some nice sculpted ears, and it looks good. If you want to pop on the alternate head, make sure you take that head off and pop this one on here. You get a very grimacing scowl that's pretty badass. Might be my favorite head. I really like this. Then if you want to put on Bruce Wayne's head, you can pop off the neck here and port that head into that little pocket there where the cowl sits. And you get a really nice looking Bruce Wayne head. Very bluish black kind of hair that's beautiful. Nice sculpted eyebrows, very good expression, and just overall very nice. And for the first pair of hands we see Bruce Wayne with, the Batman, is these 2-fisted hands, which are on him initially in the box, and they look really nice. They have a nice dark kind of shading on them. And personally, I just really like how they look. They're good size and just are beautifully painted and have consistent colors with the costume, just like the rest of the hands. Then here are the spiked punching hands, and they look really, really nice. You can see they have very nice blue and blackish kind of wash over the blue, and very nice metallic colors on those spikes. And you can see they look beautiful on Bruce Wayne. I really love how these look. And then here is one of the hands that are made for gripping the cape. As you can see, they have a little gap between the thumb and his knuckle on the finger. And you can just kind of slide the wire of the cape into this hand. And as you can see here, I have this wire slid into the hand. All you got to do is just kind of slide it into there. It's a bit difficult at first, kind of get a feel for it, but it, I don't know, it works all right. I'm not really sure what to do with it. It looks okay to me. It doesn't really seem to have a huge purpose. I mean, I'm sure if you dabble with it enough, you could do some pretty cool stuff, but personally, I'm not going to be using them a crazy amount, but they're a really cool touch, and it just goes to show that Mafex does care about what they're doing for the most part. So, kind of cool hands here. Okay, here's a nice pose. So what I did was I just kind of put his hand under it, so the thumb is just popping out. Kind of looks like he's shrouding himself in the cape and throwing it over. So that's a very dope pose. So these hands do serve a cool purpose. You can do all kinds of things with these, really. You just got to be creative. Then here's the first grappling hook hand, and you can see the grappling hook is not removable, which is fine, because all you're going to do with it is really put it in his hand anyways. And the hands are sculpted nice. Again, they have that darkish wash on them, so they look really good, and even some sculpted seams in there, you can see along the thumb. But this gun is based off the animated series. There's a similar gun on the White Knight, and the hook on it looks really, really dope, as you can see. And all you got to do, it'll be removed separately. There's a metal wire in there. Be careful because this is kind of falling. But you can just kind of pop it in there real easy into this little peg hole here. Get that to focus. And it looks good. I dig it. And here we have the second grappling hook hand, which is on the opposite hand and is essentially the same thing, except the actual hook you put in is on like a metal wire, which you can kind of bend and tool around with, but I don't want to break it, so I'm not gonna. It's a little fragile. I'd be careful. You see the hook on the end is essentially the same as the other hook, and this thing is as long as hell. And you can see it's almost impossible to keep this thing like in my camera, and I'm thinking it's gonna hit my display here. Yep, it is hitting the dial. But you can see it is insanely long. Like, oh my gosh. If I put it down at his side here and kind of have him shooting it like he's freaking Clint Eastwood. You can see here, that looks pretty good. And here's the first Batarang we get, which I'm not sure if this was in the Hush comic. I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I've read it. It was good though. I remember, like, I recommend reading it. It was a lot of fun. But I just don't remember it in that kind of detail, what Batarangs he was using exactly. However, this looks really cool. I really like this. And what's great too is you receive 2 of each Batarang, okay? There's 2 types, 2 of each type. And they look really, really nice. Very nice metallic colors, very dope. Then here's the second type, which is literally just like based off the bat symbol and is actually sculpted really nice. You can even see the little bat ears, so they did a good job. And then here is one of the Batarang gripping hands, which also has a dark wash. And I don't know, does that sculpt, it seems? Yeah, maybe, yes, a little bit there on the, it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but looks like they kind of did. Not as like prominent as the other hands though, but looks good and has that dark wash again, just looks very nice overall. Then here's a good shot of Batman holding both types of Batarangs. This more hooked one is a bit more awkward. This one is a lot easier to fit in the hand. This one you kind of have to move the fingers, but luckily these are really soft, movable fingers. So you can fit it in the hand, but it feels a little bit awkward. So I'm going to say that this bat symbol Batarang, this regular bat symbol, actually fits in the hands a lot nicer, and this is the one I'll probably be using the most. Then here we have him with the relaxed hands, which could also be used as like typing hands or reaching out hands, I guess. But I love the fact that they included these. Personally, I think these look just awesome. Some of my favorite hands we got, just because maybe I don't want Batman constantly in some kind of fighting stance or throwing stance. These look really great. And then here is Batman with these real open hands that to me almost look like, obviously just hands that are like reaching out in like some really open dynamic pose. But you could use them as like a Night of the Living Dead kind of hand, or like just a power pose. He's power hungry. But obviously that's not what they're for. I'm just kidding. These hands look really, really dope. They're a set of hands I was really hoping to see with this guy, and they look cool. And they're really reminiscent of a lot of poses that Jim Lee puts Batman in, especially when he has the the grappling hook out. If you look at the back of the box, there's art that really shows him with the open hand that just looks beautiful. So, honestly, looking at this guy, and keep in mind, I have not watched any other reviews. I do not know how people have responded to this figure, genuinely. And I won't lie, there's figures in the past where I've gone and watched reviews. Most of them I haven't really reviewed, but I know Mafex figures in the past have been kind of iffy with quality control. I know my Wolverine, his bicep piece comes right off the shoulder. It doesn't take much. I mean, he looks good and he's fun, but that is a problem. This guy, I do not have any of those problems with. In fact, he's just really fluent. He reminds me of the Mafex Venom or Spider-Man. And relative to my other Mafex figures, I'd rank him pretty high. He's a nice figure. I own 4, I believe. Venom, Spidey, Wolverine, and the Rogue One Vader. And I'm not going to say he's the best out of the group. I don't think he's even close. Spidey will always hold that ranking for now. And I'm not going to say he's even better than Venom, but I definitely think he's better than Wolverine. And you could debate that he's better than the Rogue One Vader. That figure is pretty awesome. It's pretty amazing, but I have my problems with it. But this guy, relative to the superhero characters, I'm going to say he comes in third from what I own. And here's why. All right, there's 2 issues. I should say 3. 3 issues I have with this guy. 3 big issues, and they're kind of big issues, man. I mean, there's little issues here and there, like, oh, it's a little paint rubbing. Oh, the black line on the lips is kind of a bummer. The flesh tone isn't too consistent, and those things I can get past. It's fine, but I cannot get past this. And I'm guessing if you own this guy, you've already had this problem. The cape and the cowl. obviously. You can see here, pull him off this little table here. Look at that. I can see the glue. I can see it seeping into the cape. And I understand that that needs to be held in. But when you look at the pictures of this Hush Batman, and I will include one here, you can see it does not look like that. This looks like poop. Looks like garbage. That's not cool, and I don't like it. It's very ugly, and it looks like it's going to break. I'm not a fan of that at all. And even when I pop this head off, and oh, well, there's another little problem, but every Mafex figure has this problem, it seems. Pinch the neck, try to pinch the neck. Oh, there we go. The inside just looks like a freaking mess, man. It looks like it is cheap. And I mean, this is an expensive figure. When I pre-ordered him at Big Bad Toy Store before I found him for cheaper on eBay, huge thanks to the Instagram guy again, the Grey Ghost collection, I believe. I paid like $100, and for that kind of stuff, for Mafex to miss this kind of stuff and produce stuff like that, that's a nightmare, man. Because I'll tell you what, SH Figure Arts figures are perfect, but they never do this. And I've never seen a Mafex figure with that kind of problem. There's kind of joints falling apart, but they're not genuinely broken. This looks like it's going to break, and it looks like someone in the factory is like, oh, maybe we could just super glue it back on. Seriously. And it's just, yeah, it looks rough. So aside from that, the only other problem I have with this guy, and this is kind of a big one, is the cape. The cape is just not that nice looking. I mean, I do like the material, but there's two problems with it. One, it's huge, and it's cool. You want it to wrap around his body, but it's just really freaking long. It just gets in the way. And if you're gonna make a cape this massive, of this proportion, and I'm cool with that. I like it. It's artistic. It's beautiful. It reminds me of Jim. It looks awesome. If you're going to do that, though, you can't just have 4 wires and have them both just sit on the end. Because what happens here is I can put all of these out like this. Have them go all the way out here. And the rest of the cape just freaking drapes down. It just freaking falls flat, man. And I almost feel like these wires here aren't as strong as these wires. I think it's because it's the thicker part of the cape. But why you wouldn't put one at least in the middle is entirely beyond me. Because that is a problem. That looks awful. I hate that. So I was really bummed to see that. If they're going to do this, just make the cape a little bit smaller so we can avoid these kinds of issues. It's a real bummer, man. So, I mean, it's you could see past it. And I'm going to. I choose to look past it and appreciate the figure for what he is. Because I paid money for him, and he's a cool figure, and I have fun with him. But the cape is such an important, vital, pivotal part of the Batman, of Bruce Wayne. It's everything. It's how he hides himself. And I mean, we get cool accessories to really help the cape. Those hands are awesome, and I love the wired cape. So it's nice that they did include that. But they really should have made it a little bit smaller or included some extra wiring. And they really should fix this cowl here. What in the hell, man? That's rough. So that's my main gripes with this guy. Aside from that, I'd say the only other problem I have, the third problem, is his belt. Here's the deal. It's glued in the back here, all right? And in the front, it's not, which is fine because I want him to have good articulation, okay? So we'll take him off here. But it has a tendency to slide up here and cover like half of his abdomen. So it just kind of looks like he has a weird belly. But really, you can push it down a little bit and it looks a bit better. I kind of like this. When it sits up here, it looks kind of, yeah. I don't know. It's not that bad. It's really not a big deal. But that's really my only other problem with this dude. He's not broken on me. I haven't had any problems with him. The bat symbol is beautifully sculpted on there. I love the fact that it's sculpted, not painted. That's wonderful. They sculpted it right on there. These little bat wings here on the back here. These little, whatever the hell you want to call them, spikes on the back of his gloves are very movable and bendy. They're not going to break at all. The belt has beautiful paint work on it. I'll darken this a little bit, give you some better definition. Beautiful paint work and nice sculpt work. The musculature of this guy is wonderful. Everything looks very fluid. He has a very nicely proportioned body, in my opinion. I love how the ribs hang over the abs and don't look all whacked as hell like the other Jim Lee Batman we got from McFarlane Toys. this looks really nice. And overall, it's just a really nice figure, man. We have another soft plastic piece on the underwear, which we've seen with a lot of other figures in the McFarlane line and some of the Mafex figures. And the legs also have nice musculature, very nice anatomy going on. The hands are a bit big, but I believe that's just kind of a Jim Lee thing. So I'm not like too upset about that. That looks pretty dope. I actually think it's very reminiscent of the actual comic, so it's cool. And the feet look very nice as well. The boots are really cool. They even sculpt the bottom of the boots here. Is that a bat symbol on there? Or am I a crackhead here? No, it's not. The hell am I talking about? But there's W's in the bottom of his boots. They look cool. They look really, really nice overall. The back of this guy doesn't have much going on. Just some more musculature that looks really cool. That right there looks pretty rough. And then the belt, again, looks very nice in my opinion. So overall, this guy's detail is pretty straightforward. He's just a flat gray with some dark wash in some of his joints to really emphasize the muscles here. I just think his belt should have sat a little bit lower, and I'm not even going to get into the cape again. You heard me rant about that. So overall, I'm going to say this guy's proportioning is just phenomenal. And personally, I mean, the things you can do with the cape, you can kind of wrap it around here and like have it cover him. And one thing I think is really cool, the fact that you can set it down, bring these wires down and just kind of have them stick out and lay flat on the ground. It really reminds me of the animated series Batman, and I love that. But it's just kind of a bummer that, oh, my bad. It's kind of a bummer that the cape has those problems, really. But you can drape it over him. You can have him throw it over his shoulder with that gripping cape hand, so that's cool. And personally, what I do is I just kind of fold it back a little bit, like this. I'll fold this in here. And if you don't want him to have the cape draped over him like crazy, you don't want it in the wind, just looking relaxed, it just looks kind of like a bunched up curtain, and I don't. Yeah, it was a bit thick. It's a thick cape, and it does not help that there are literally no wires in the middle of it. So I mean, it looks okay, but what really, the reason you buy this figure is not so much the cape, I guess, that has some downfalls. You can have a lot of fun with it, but it's not perfect. The reason you buy this guy is because he has beautiful anatomy. He looks a hell of a lot like the comic book Hush Batman, and it's a cool Mafex figure with beautiful articulation, wonderful detail, a crazy amount of accessories, man. Look at that. And more to come with the new Superman, the Hush Superman we're getting, who I believe gets controlled by Poison Ivy, if I remember right. I could be wrong about that, but I think that's what happens. And you get a Batman hand with a kryptonite ring, which if I can find a picture, I'll include it here, but I might not be able to. But kryptonite ring we're getting down the line to when that Hush Superman releases, which I think is in 2021, like May time, towards spring and summer. So that'll be a really cool addition. And we're also going to get another version of this guy in a black suit. So maybe they'll fix some of these issues they have here. Maybe they will fix that. That is rough. And I don't know if it's just mine or if it's other people's. So comment below. I'll watch other reviews after I post this, because I don't want to watch another review. Not because I don't care about other people's opinions, but because I don't want to have any bias and have any influenced opinions, really. Which I think is probably a smart thing to do. But I just have some problems with the cape, and the details are beautiful. So that's my rant about this guy. Let's talk about the articulation. So taking a look at the Batman's articulation, you can see he has a dumbbell joint in his neck here. And he also has articulation at the bottom of the neck. It fits in a pocket, kind of like the more recent articulation we've seen from Hasbro with the G.I. Joe line. So you can see he has a very nice neck pivot. His head looks very, very far down. Pretty far back. It looks a fair amount back. It can obviously rotate, as most figures can. He does have a butterfly joint here that doesn't really move back too far. It kind of does, but it snaps. Very weird. It almost makes me worry that I'm going to break him or something, but it works cool. And it almost looks like there's a little joint in there too, helping out where the ball fits in. So almost like a butterfly joint inside of a butterfly joint. It looks really cool. It's a nice little pivot in there. So you can see there's a nice little rotation. Then the arms do go up very, very far. They do go down very far. They kind of drop up and down because of that joint in there, so that's cool. Then they can go forward very far with these butterfly joints, and obviously back very far, however the joint is exposed there. But you can move it back pretty far. There's a rotation in the bicep here, double jointed elbows with obviously no pegs, so that's very nice. There's no rotation in the forearm here, but there is rotation in the wrist as well as a ball joint, so you can change the direction of that hinge going this way or up and down like that, so that's cool. Obviously there's a swivel here at the waist, so you can have a really nice pivot, and it helps that we also have a swivel down here at this part of the waist too. So there's a swivel here like the diaphragm kind of abdomen and ribs, and there's a swivel down here right at the lower waist. So a lot of rotation and movement all throughout. He can look very, very far back, as you can see, and pretty far forward. So the articulation so far is really, really solid. And there is, like I said, a very nice swivel in there. Look at that movement we get. Damn. It's a lot of movement. It's beautiful. And it helps too, because that's this, like I said, this crotch piece is a soft plastic. So that's really important and really helps the figure. He does have the drop down legs, and he does have a rotation in there, as you can see. So it's very cool. The legs do go forward very, very far. They do go back pretty far as well. They do go out. Or drop them down and bring them out. They go out pretty far, but not far enough. Honestly, they could go out a bit farther. It's kind of unfortunate. However, can I get them to go a bit farther? Not really. I don't want to break him, but there is a bit of a drop down. It's not too extreme though, so it's kind of a bummer, but that's okay. Whatever. Like I said, they go forward and back. Nice rotation in there too, so that's very cool. It actually works pretty well. Double jointed knees with the hidden pins there, so that's very nice. A rotation at the ankle as well as a ball joint in there, so you can change the direction, an ankle pivot, and a hinge at the toes, so that's very cool. Aside from that, there's no real articulation on the legs, no articulation at the calf, so that's really fine. All this articulation works really well, is really organic looking, and just great. The only spot that really isn't too organic looking is the arms probably, but honestly you can really kind of mess with that and make it look pretty. And there is a hell of a lot of motion in those arms, so that's beautiful. Overall, this articulation is 10 out of 10. Beautiful. Here he is next to the Mafex Rogue One Vader, and you can see these two scale together very nicely, and both frankly look incredible. Then here he is next to the Mafex Spidey, the Kingman, and they scale together very nice. And then here is the Mafex Hush Batman next to Boba Fett from Return of the Jedi SH Figure Arts. And you can see the heights here are actually pretty fine. You could probably stick them with some SH Figure Art figures if you'd like. They're all pretty much in the same scale, so cool. And here he is next to the McFarlane Toys Jim Lee Batman. And what's interesting about these Batmans is the fact that their head sculpts, honestly, his is bigger than his, which is, it's so backwards. And everyone, if you watch my review on this, you know I'm not perfectly happy with this guy, although he's a fun figure. But you can see Jim Lee's art kind of come through in both figures in their own way. Some of you might disagree, but with the face sculpts, I definitely think so. However, this guy's obviously the better figure and is totally not in scale with this figure. But I thought it'd be interesting to compare them considering they're both derived from the same artist's work. And then here he is next to Captain America, the first Avenger, the 80th anniversary Cap from Hasbro Marvel Legends. And you can see they are totally in scale with each other, so you could totally stick this guy with your Legends if you'd like. And I do not own any Mattel DC figures, so unfortunately, but I'm sure if you own them, you can take a peek between the two, and I'm guessing he will go with them just fine. So anyways, so at the end of the day, this guy's only problems are really problems in your perspective or my perspective, I guess. It kind of depends on who's holding the figure. You know, beauty is in the eye of the beholder, I guess. And personally, I think he's fun, and I really enjoy this guy. And I do feel that for $100, I totally got my money's worth. My issues with the cowl, I'm guessing, are not universal with this guy. You're not going to see with every version of this figure, at least I hope not. Especially the super glue kind of seeping onto the cape. But as for the cowl, just looking kind of awkward, you might have issues with that with your figure. However, it's really easy to see past when you look at how beautiful this guy is. I personally love how he looks, man. Look at the poses you can put him in. How's that not going to look beautiful on your shelf? And Mafex in general just typically does a good job. Of course, there's some quality control issues they have in the past, but nothing that really makes or breaks their figures for me. I really am going to enjoy this guy. I love the accessories we get. The paintwork is great. The sculpting is pretty good and for the most part. The only issue is really the cape, and that depends on the person, really. Some people really are going to appreciate that massive cape. like me, I do like the big cape. I just wish we would have got like one more wire at the very least. So I mean, this guy is probably like a solid 9 out of 10, I'd say. Just a few issues here and there, but nothing that really makes or breaks this guy. He's beautiful. So anyways, guys, before I go, make sure you guys go down to the my description down below, and go check out the Gray Ghost collection. He's a cool dude, and he sold me this figure, and it's beautiful. He was really great with the shipping. Gave me the figure at a pretty good price. And make sure you follow his account on Instagram. He has a great collection, some cool pictures. Aside from that, we're at 81 subscribers right now, 80 or 81, I believe. And I just want to let you guys know I really appreciate you viewing my channel. I love talking about toys, and it means the world to me that I have 80 people who are sitting down and watching these videos. So thank you, and I hope you stay tuned, and I hope you keep checking out my videos. And if you're new and you haven't seen my videos before, go watch some more. You don't have to subscribe, but it'd be cool if you did. Aside from that, just go check out some more videos. You can find out about some figures maybe you're debating buying, or just see some figures you've never even seen before. Maybe you're new to collecting and you want to know some more about figures. Go check out my reviews. Go check out my painting tutorials. I have a painting tutorial and some unboxings and whatnot. So thank you to all my viewers for consistently watching my videos and sticking around. I really appreciate it. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it gave you some insight into this Mafex Hush Batman. If you haven't read the story, make sure you go read it. It's a beautiful story with some beautiful art. Aside from that, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, subscribe, like this video, comment, and keep collecting. Peace.